Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Well, welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard. And we have a jam-packed show for you this week. The Ducks played 3 games since the trade deadline. They won 2 out of 3 of those. We're also going to talk a little bit about how the newcomers have done so far in these 3 games. And then, of course, we'll wrap it up with our league news. If you didn't catch all the trade deadline action, we did that in our last podcast where we kind of changed things up. We pretty much focused on the trades and where we thought the Ducks were going to go. So if you haven't listened to that show, go back and listen to it. But this week, we're back to our regular format. And we're going to start with the first game after the trade deadline, Eddie. The Anaheim Ducks took on the Edmonton Oilers, and they ended up winning this game in overtime, 4-3. Ducks came out strong on this one. Sonny Milano, newly acquired, got the first goal. Nick Delorier, what the hell? This guy fights? No, he can score goals too. He got one. The Ducks jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Edmonton came back, tied it up. Henrique then scored, and then Edmonton scored again. A good battle, and then Milano capped it off with a win. So the Ducks come out of the trade deadline with a win, Eddie, against the Edmonton Oilers. What did you think about this game? It was a pretty exciting contest.
I think you forgot to mention one of the most important aspects of our show is what are you drinking right now?
That is true. That is... I did forget that. You're right. So I'm having a Moscow Mule right now. What are you drinking, Eddie?
I think you can officially rename that drink to the Teemu Selanne drink because I know he drinks those a lot. I'm drinking Mango Cart from Golden Road Brewery. I've been in this flavor motion for the last few years now. I mean, I do like some bitter beer, like St. Pauli Girl, Guinness. I'll take that. Cold Snap by Sam Adams. That's my always go-to, but they didn't have it at the liquor store, so I'm settling for this. Not settling, but it's still good. But that's what I'm drinking. So cheers to everyone listening, and cheers to you, Mike.
Take one for me. I'll take one right now. And like we said, we'll go on with the show as far as the games go and Edmonton and the Ducks. What did you think, Eddie?
I loved it. I loved the energy from all the new guys. They each played like they had something to prove. Like, okay, I'm going to show the team that traded me, like, you know, I'm going to show them they made a mistake, but I'm also going to prove to the Ducks and prove them, like, hey, you made a good call by trading for me. It just, the Ducks seem energized. They seem faster, rejuvenated, and I loved it. It's just the speed of the game, them keeping up with a really, really good team. They have McDavid and Draisaitl are arguably the top 5, top 5 players of the world. Like, Draisaitl is sometimes underrated. He's just a phenomenal player, and they were able to squeeze out a win. And, of course, you had the Edmonton Oilers fans cry, cry, cry. It sounds like an old country song. I bet you I think Johnny Cash sang a song called Cry, Cry, Cry. I think he went in a time machine and went to Edmonton for a game. Like, I don't know why they keep crying all the time, but our new guy, Always Sunny in Anaheim, they've been calling him, he came out firing. He's a little pest. He's just he's like a magnet to the puck, like a fly on shit. He just, everywhere that puck is, he's flying over there. He's just really tenacious, and he got rewarded with 2 goals this game, including the overtime winner. So it's what a way to welcome yourself to Anaheim. And I really think that just that first game, you can already see the differences and the dividends it paid. And I think just that first game compared to Shore's the games he's played in Anaheim, I think this one tops it all. And I think he's more of a skilled player, and I think he will have a lot more success in Anaheim.
You know, the funny thing was, my wife and I showed up to the game, and I tweeted this out in case you didn't see it, but we showed up, and so we got there early, do the warm-ups and see who's out there and everything like that. The game was underway, and she's asking me about the new players, which numbers they're wearing, who's where and whatnot. And I'm cracking up because 22 is one of my lucky numbers. And, of course, Milano's wearing 22. So we're talking and pointing out all these people, and I'm like, oh, I really like this Milano kid. I think he's going to do good. And then I kid you not, like 30 seconds later, he scored that first goal. I was cracking up. I couldn't believe it. And she's just like, oh, see, you talk good about him. There you go. And then in the overtime, he draws that penalty. The Ducks go on the power play. they decide to put him back out there. And I go, oh, honey, it would be funny if he scores the game-winning goal here on the power play. And then sure as shit, again, 30, 40 seconds later, he scores the game-winning goal. So I was cracking up during this game, just the way things were going and the way the Ducks played. Overall, it was a great experience, of course, for us, and the Ducks winning, coming out of the trade deadline. You see these new guys playing. We're going to kind of summarize how all of the players did in our middle segment. But in this game, they did well. And then I looked the next day, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody from the professional media in Edmonton was crying about Milano in the overtime, saying that he took a dive and that McDavid shouldn't have got, the penalty. And then it was, well, he should have got the penalty, but there should have been a dive. And there was all kinds of discussion going on. I saw other accounts like ours that cover Edmonton, and they were all upset too about the overtime. So I put out a poll question on the Puck Network Twitter, and basically the vote said 80% of you voted that it should have been a penalty against McDavid, and that's it. And then a little less than 20% said it should have either been a penalty and a dive, or it should have been no call at all. So, I mean, I don't know why they're crying. Getzlaf was called for a penalty earlier in the game when he barely even touched McDavid. And, I mean, that to me was a ridiculous call. So, I thought it was the right call in overtime. I felt like it was a penalty. I don't think Milano really dived because McDavid hit his hand and then it went on his thigh while he was trying to skate. So, I thought it was the right call. I'm glad that he drew the penalty, and I'm glad that Aikens put him out there on the power play and he scored the game winner. So to me, I think the Edmonton fans need to just be quiet and take the L. They still got a point in overtime and they still have a chance at the playoffs. So other than that, I think they need to take a chill pill, Eddie. I think it was the right call, and I thought the Ducks played pretty well in this game. Really dominant in the beginning. They laid off the gas a little bit, but were still able to pull it off in overtime.
Yeah, and I agree with you too. I think it was the right call. The right call on the ice was made. It just, I don't understand with Edmonton and their fans. Like, yeah, I get it. They're our dedicated fan base, and I'm pretty sure that they're one of the top fan bases in the league. But it's just every time the team loses, it's just, you just hear mistakes and them complaining and bitching and crying, and it wasn't their fault. The refs screwed them. They did this. They did that. The Ducks, when they played in the playoffs, I think the Ducks were one of the most penalized teams in the season. And right away, they're crying about, oh, the Ducks paid off the refs, this and that. It's like, take the loss. Your team got beat. It happens in hockey. Like, I don't know what's wrong with some of their fans, and it's just constantly crying. The team can go 82-0, and they better not get scored on, because they're going to start crying about that too. You guys got beat. You guys got outplayed. That overtime goal was amazing. I love the transition between Henrique and Milano. They just swapped at the perfect time. The pass goes to Henrique. He just throws it to Milano, and the rest is history. It was a beautiful play, and it all stemmed from the right call on the ice of that, not diving. It's just the right call on McDavid against him. It's one of those things that they still get a point. They're still in a playoff hunt. You lost the game fair and square. Stop crying about it. Stop crying about the goalie interference a few years ago, because they still bring that up and cry about that. It's like, man, get over it. It's hockey. Sometimes you have good days. Sometimes you have bad days. Once we get talking about the New Jersey Devil game, you're gonna know exactly what we're talking about. Losing to a team that we shouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, you go to Edmonton and say come back on Catella, and you'll probably get beat down. So the next thing that or say Ryan Kessler, that's probably a dirty word in Edmonton. So a good game overall for the Ducks. They started out strong. They let Edmonton get back into it, and they were able to pull it out in the end. The bad thing about this game, Eddie, is Lindholm got hurt. He got tangled up in the corner, went into the boards, and no one knew anything about what was going on other than he was out of the game. Nobody said anything. The Ducks still haven't said anything, but thanks to our Swedish media friends that were there at the game, they put out an article, which I put out an article referencing theirs as well, talking about after the play. Lindholm said that he felt sore in his shoulder and his back. Didn't think anything was broken, which is a good sign. He wasn't really sure about how he got tangled up. Said he was a little bit out of breath. So to me, it looks like he avoided a major injury. Thank God. He hasn't played since then, obviously, which has been unfortunate. But he's also not on the IR. And I think that's the good thing in all this, Eddie. He talked about the wind kind of being knocked out of him. I think it might have been the possibility here. My only concern is he did have surgery on that left shoulder a few years back, so hopefully he just didn't strain it. Maybe that's the only thing. Instead, he didn't get anything separated or broken bones or anything like that. So he's been out, but at least from what the Swedish media told us, it doesn't look like it's anything severe, Eddie.
Oh, that's always good. You definitely don't want to lose a guy like Lindholm. This season's not going to go where we want, and it's going to end in come April, the last game. But you definitely don't want to see him having to battle through another injury and having that recovery time. I want him to be, healed and fresh and finish out the season as strong as he can. Take the off season to reflect, and then also to stop worrying about hockey and have a great off season. Just have fun and do. And think about other things besides hockey. Come back training camp and be ready to play and be ready to compete again. So that's really good that it wasn't anything serious. It looked really bad seeing that replay, watching it over and over again. I'm just getting even more like, damn, no, that's something serious. But I'm glad it's nothing too serious. And hopefully he comes back. And like I said, he just finishes the season strong, goes in the off season and just, kind of reset his mind and come back next season refreshed. So that's always good news. When you see a player go down like that.
Yeah, and then we also learned, too, from Bob Murray that Goodbranson and Fowler were both going to be out for 2 weeks. Fowler has the lower body injury. Goodbranson has the upper body injury. He's also still on the IR. So the Ducks ended up bringing up Brendan Gooley, and then they played Pittsburgh. Another game where we're like, okay, the Penguins are struggling, but how are they going to do against Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh usually has our number. And this was a wild contest, Eddie, that the Ducks ended up winning this one. They started out, with a goal by Heinen, another newcomer, right? Getting one for the Ducks. Jason Zucker, who was recently traded to Pittsburgh, ended up getting a couple goals in this game to help out the Penguins. And Gooley, who was called up, got a goal as well in this one. So it was a wild game. The second period was ridiculously crazy. The Ducks went nuts. I don't know what was going on because the first period they were outshot 10-2, looked kind of okay. Second period they go nuts and put on 15 shots on goal, and they're going crazy until probably towards the end of the period when Pittsburgh rallied there. But this was an exciting game, Eddie, and for the Ducks to beat the Penguins, it's always huge.
Yeah, this was another fun one to watch, and it just. I want to call this the pinball game because Heinen's first goal was pinballed off 2 Penguins players before it went in. And then Gooley's goal, when he scored it, deflected off a Penguins player, went to him, he shot it, and it deflected off another Penguins player to go in the net. So it's just 2 ping-pong kind of style goals that went in. And it was good to see. I think what people did, what the Pittsburgh Penguins did wrong in this game, and the refs did, that we used to call it poke the pair, but we could call it poke the Gets now. You get Getzlaf pissed off and fired up. He seems to just go to that next level. It sheds 5 or 6 years off his age, and he just shows that flashes of greatness of why he's a superstar in the league and how the elite player he is and he still is. He still plays at that high level despite his age. He goes and scores that power play goal. It's just amazing. And, of course, you have Crosby. And I respect Crosby for being... I'd call him the best player in the world. Everything he's accomplished in the NHL, the gold medals, and just what he does. He seems to just cry. He gets that nickname, Crybaby Crosby. I don't know why. Dude, you're such a talented player. You don't have to sit there and bitch and cry the whole time. I know one of the fans on our DucksNPucks social media referred to him as a baby back bitch. Crosby, you don't have to be a McAsshole all the time. Dude, calls don't go your way. Sometimes the puck doesn't bounce your way. It's all part of the game. And you're sitting there just having sidebars with the ref every chance you get. The videos are all right there. People are retweeting that they see that. Dude, you're a superstar in this league, and you are what is NHL. People that don't even probably follow NHL know who the Sidney Crosbys and the Ovechkins are. They know the players like this. You don't have to cry that much. And it just came back and bit them in the ass. He was focused more on crying or Malkin slamming a stick on the board. It just came back, their frustrations. came back, and the Ducks exploited that and ended up beating this team. Yeah, they came back and beat this team. I think if the Penguins would have just focused on playing their game, they could have got out that slump there, and I believe it was like a 5-game consecutive losing slump they're coming in with, losing to the Kings too, which is probably not a good thing. They probably spent time at Disneyland thinking these teams are in last place, but it's frustrating to see a player of his caliber sit there and cry the whole time. And the only thing positive I can say about the Penguins is their newly acquisition of Zucker. He's been playing pretty decent. He's been playing some good hockey. He has he scored 2 goals in this game, but he's just it seems like that mold and that type of team fits his style, and he's having success. And I mentioned him too, his wife. If you guys don't follow her on Twitter, she's really animated and she's so funny on Twitter. So I had to take kind of like a liking on him as well. And then he was linked back to the Ducks come off season of one of those players that Murray was trying to acquire, but it ended up falling through. So, and he's been in the rumor mill a lot before he got traded, so it's good that he's actually done. He doesn't worry about it anymore. But yeah, I'm glad that the Ducks came in and beat the Penguins. It's always good to get that, and it was a really fun game to watch. It was really animated from start to finish. Ducks started off a little slow, but they just turned it up. The second period, they really came to play, and they shut them down, and the Penguins just went home with an L. And of course, we have more salt from the Penguins fans now. It's like we have the Edmonton Oilers fans that we all salt. We have the Penguins fans throwing salt. Like, man, it's just too much salt coming in Anaheim. Like, I don't know. I think there's a sodium problem or whatever. Too much salt causes problems. We should go to the doctor for that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of crybabying, like you said, from Edmonton and Pittsburgh. And, I follow the Penguins pretty much too as well. And like you said, yeah, Zucker was a great addition for them, and he had a chance to possibly come to Anaheim, as we found out later on. So I like him. He's a good player. I think Pittsburgh is going to work out for them. I mean, yeah, they're on a losing streak. They're behind Washington in the standings, but they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make a strong run again. Unfortunately, that's who I'm going to have to watch come playoff time, because the Ducks are going to be out of it. It is what it is. But I was happy to see the Ducks win. I was disappointed, though, in Crosby, like you talked about. I saw Getzlaf complaining a little bit here and there during the game, but Crosby just took the cake. And you know what? It worked out, like you said. It worked out in the Ducks' favor, because they got so bent out of shape about everything that this game wasn't as close as what it was. I mean, Zucker got a late goal to make it 3-2 in the final 2 minutes of the game, but the Ducks had a 3-1 lead at the end of the second period and held on to that for a majority of the third period until then. So it was a great performance by the Ducks, especially with Gibson. We've known he's had a couple issues playing Pittsburgh in the past. He was able to stop 28 of 30 shots in this game. The Ducks also played well in the faceoff. They won 58%. So all around a good game for the Ducks, I felt. And they played a good game. That's all I can really say. I mean, they beat Edmonton. They beat Pittsburgh. They're kind of on a roll here. They won 2 games after the trade deadline. You had Milano getting 2 goals in the first game against the Oilers. Then you had Heinen coming in, getting a goal here. Those were some of the players that Murray looked at, which we'll talk about in the middle segment. So things look good. You thought, okay, the Ducks have won 2 games. Maybe, Eddie, we could win a third game. But they ended up, not doing that against New Jersey. They ended up losing this game, 3-0. But it wasn't a bad game overall. They had some chances. They just couldn't get it done on the special teams, and that's what I felt how this game went down. But I really thought the Ducks haven't played bad in this game or all 3 of the games.
Oh, no, definitely not. And to going back on that Penguins game, I don't know what the hell happened to the referees. I don't know if they waited in line too long at Disneyland and they were frustrated coming to ref this game. They seemed like they were a little bit sensitive in that game. Getzlaf is trying to, he's the captain. He has the right to talk to the referee. He's going up to him and gets an unsportsmanlike conduct. And then going back on the Malkin, hitting his stick on the glass. Yeah, I get it. You're not supposed to do that. He was frustrated. He hit it on the glass on his way into the box. Personally, if it was a Ducks player, or regardless, I don't think it should have been warranted another, unsportsmanlike conduct. I think the referees were just, I don't know, pissed off about something. I don't know. They just kept calling these calls, and they just seemed you couldn't really talk to him unless you were Sidney Crosby. And Crosby was yapping at him a few times, didn't get an unsportsmanlike conduct, Getzlaf got it, and then that unsportsmanlike against Malkin, yeah, it was stupid of him to do that. You're a veteran in the league. He's frustrated. I get that. But I don't think it should have been a call. So I think the referees probably take like the biggest L in this game because it kind of showed them how sensitive and how they're a part of the problem in today's NHL and stemming from last season before. Just the refereeing and the officiating in these games seems like it's just getting worse and worse, and no one's doing anything about it.
No, amen to all of that. I mean, that's been a problem for the league this whole season. We've talked about that too, as far as different calls that have been made on certain players and calls that have not been made and the plays that have been reviewed and whatnot. And that happened in this next game as well, Eddie. A lot of controversy. The Ducks lost this game against the Devils, but the big thing in this one was the play with Gibson and Rooney. All kinds of people going nuts over this play, talking about getting a review or what the ref said or whatnot, like you talked about. It's been an issue all season long. It became an issue in this game too. The Ducks ended up losing this one, as I mentioned earlier, 3-0. They gave up a couple of power play goals. They kind of missed some assignments there, screwed up, gave up some easy goals. But, you know, they were even in the face-off, even on the shots. Still played a decent game. Like we said, in these 3 games, they played pretty good. But this whole Gibson thing went nuts. There was a lot of people. We posted a video that went big, and people felt that, you know, the 2-minute penalty was fine, but then there were people saying, well, he should have got a double minor, should have been a 5 minutes, should have been reviewed. And now there's people saying, well, he shouldn't have gotten anything. It's all over the place. And I was just cracking up, especially the people on Twitter saying, I'm here for the comments with the little like popcorn gifs and whatever. I'm just friggin' laughing. But you talk about all these bad calls, and you're right. In that Pittsburgh game, I was surprised Crosby didn't get a penalty because he was crying like a mofo. And then you go to this game, and the Ducks lost. The biggest highlight, unfortunately, was Gibson hitting Rooney. And we put out some poll questions out there to see what people would say, because everyone's going nuts. Again, I didn't think it was a big deal when I was at the game watching it. But then the next morning, I'm seeing all the comments from the video we posted, and everyone's going crazy. So what did you think about, I guess, this game in general and Gibson's play with Rooney?
Well, this game, it sucks that we lost to a shitty team like this. I think they're worse than the Ducks, especially with all the transactions they made to better themselves. It kind of backfired. However, I love the tempo of it, and I like the speed of it. I think the Ducks played better this game than they played against them when they took that, I think it was 3-1 loss when they first played them, when Miller was in net. So that's like something positive I can say about this game. It was just different, and they last played New Jersey on December 18th, and they lost 3-1. And when Henrique was the only goal scorer, and then Palmieri, and then of course Vatanen scored for New Jersey as well. But this game was better. Like the tempo, the speed, the Ducks were just moving their feet. They seemed a lot faster, so I liked that. Yeah, and that hit that Gibson made, it just. I think that was a win for Ducks fans, regardless of the score. It was just Gibson had enough. People have been running into him a few times this season and last season, and he just wasn't having it anymore. He threw the hit. It seemed like he was gonna, throw his stick down a little too hard, but he caught himself at the right moment. So I'm glad that he had that composure, because if he would have just angled that stick down and hit Rooney, then I'd be having a totally different conversation, and I'd pretty much borderline be hating on Gibson right now, because that's something uncalled for. You shouldn't do, like taking your stick off and stabbing someone. Happy Gilmore, that's why he's not playing in the league right now. I think he got kicked off the golf course too for undisruptive behavior. But all jokes aside, actually one more joke. I think Gibson is a Ferris Bueller fan, and he was sticking it to Rooney. I believe that Rooney character from the New Jersey Devils is the son of Ed Rooney. Ha ha ha. If you guys don't get that joke, watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and that was the first thing I thought of that, and I've been thinking about that ever since. But I think the 2-minute penalty was warranted. That first hit, okay, he was defending himself from the past, but then him going and doing that headshot and then him talking shit after, that was a little bit excessive. You didn't have to do it. I get you're frustrated. Yeah, I'm a Ducks fan, and but I'm not going to be biased and say like Ducks are angels and they did everything right. I still think that 2 minutes was worth it. No suspension, and all the 11 New Jersey Devils fans that are all upset and screaming suspension 5 to 10 games. I've read by some people posting. No, that's just too. That's crazy. yeah, it's just one of those plays. It's just he got tired of people running into him. He's trying to play the puck, and Rooney wasn't going to let up. So if Gibson didn't throw his shoulder up, he was going to get hit regardless. You can watch that play over and over again, and you can say that, oh, well, freaking Rooney is like the Flash or Superman. He can, within a millisecond or whatever, stop and change his direction. No, he was going to hit Gibson. So it was either Gibson was going to get hit or he was going to do the hitting. And unfortunately for Rooney, Gibson did the hitting. What my problem is that headshot after, and then even that, him, just saying crap after that. But, he defended himself. He was trying to get the crowd going, trying to get the Ducks energized. Same like Delorier when he drops the gloves and everyone gets energized, including the team. I think Gibson was doing that. And I believe, too, at the end when the penalty was announced and the puck was about to be dropped, I think Gibson made some, hitting his stick or, throwing his, cheering and trying to get the people going. And stuff like that. It's no reference to another movie by Will Ferrell. It's no reference at all. It's just my personal opinion on that situation. It was the right call, and I think it was the right move by Gibson too. And I think that was the best 2-minute penalty the Ducks have ever taken in the last 10 years. If I'll throw it out there.
Yeah, I think it was hilarious with the Ducks losing this game. That play develops obviously the highlight of this game because the Ducks lost. They didn't get any goals. And the comments afterward were man, I mean, things were going nuts. So we posted the video on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. But there were people, especially on Twitter, because Twitter's Twitter. I'm not a big fan of I don't know. I can't stand certain people on Twitter, the way that they act and whatnot. But people got on there, got mad, saying Gibson should have got a game misconduct. He should have been suspended. He went to the head. He's an effing a-hole and all this stuff. And I saw comments from a bunch of other people. And I was just like, really? You guys need to chill out. So we put the poll question up about on Twitter if it should have been a 5-minute major, plus it would have been game misconduct, or double minor, or 2 minutes. The way the poll shook out so far is over 70% think the 2-minute minor was the right call. And then it's divided amongst those that think double minor or 5-minute major. I did the Facebook poll. Again, they can only have 2 options on there. So I put, hey, the call as it was or should have been more. That one is over 80% of you said 2-minute penalty. So that's where we're at. I actually think it should have been more. So if you want to throw stuff at me or yell in your car or you're on your mobile device, you want to chew me out, go for it, chew me out. I think the Ducks got away with one, or Gibson got away with one here. I agree with Eddie. I think he was trying to play the puck and go towards the glass and everything. My whole thing is that he gives him that shot on the ground, and then he talks a little smack to him. And I'm surprised he just didn't get another 2 for unsportsmanlike because of that. That's my only thing. But as a Ducks fan, of course I effing loved what happened. I thought it was hilarious as a fan. I just trying to be neutral now, put on my little analyst looking at this. I was surprised that they didn't get a double minor, Eddie, and I think the Ducks got away with one a little bit there. But oh god, I love looking at this video, especially the one you did with the Queen remix with the music. Oh my god, I'm dying laughing.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, I've said it on a few previous shows. Before I start this podcast, I like to get myself going. I like to to get in the rhythm and the mood. It's not easy doing the podcast sometimes. I still get nervous every time we record, even though I've been doing it for almost a year now. I still get those butterflies in my stomach because I'm so passionate. I love this, and you can ask Mike. If I make a mistake on the podcast or we have to edit something, I'm pissed off and kicking myself in the ass. So I listen to Queen a lot. I love Queen, and I in the videos. I did one of Manson's hit on Myers with the wrecking ball, and I didn't even know it would blow up this much. We had over 200,000 views, 1.7 thousand shares, and then we had a certain player's wife reach out to us, which I'm not going to throw the name out to name drop, but she wanted the clip of the video for herself, so we sent it to her. So thank you for following DucksNPucks. We appreciate it. Hopefully you listen to the podcast as well, but thank you for reaching out to us and following us. But it's just it was just amazing, that hit. I had to do a video. I had to add some kind of Queen to it because I love Queen. But yeah, like you said, you're not a Ducks fan, you're an analyst. But I still think that it should only been a 2-minute penalty. I think the first hit shouldn't have been called. The only penalty I would have called is that him hitting him on the ground. And I'm even skeptical and flirting with the line of actually calling that a penalty, because I'm borderline thinking it should not be a penalty, because I still like that that old school mentality hockey, that hard hitting. It's just definitely if Rooney got hurt, that's different. But it just a little shot to the head and talking shit. I mean, that's part of the game, and I love it. And that's something that the game is kind of going away from, and that's what I hate the most. So, I mean, as a Ducks fan, yeah, I was like, oh no call at all. As a hockey fan, I'm like, okay, maybe that 2 minutes for that. As an old school, I want that Rumble in the Jungle kind of Patrick Wall against the Red Wings kind of hockey. Then I'm saying no call. But, I mean, it was fun, and I love to see the passion. Even though Gibson knows his team's not going to be a playoff team, and they're, I think they're, a ways from being competitive. Not that long, but they're still a ways. I love seeing the passion that he still brings into the net. And before, I was critical on Gibson 3 or 4 years ago when he first came into the net, and I was unsure about him. But I think he's a great goaltender. I think he's doing. He's our superstar elite player right now, and I love the passion he showed against New Jersey. I was hoping that Snyder would come down and challenge Gibson. I could see a goalie fight. I would have lost my mind. I would have been Ovechkin drunk right now if the goalie fight would have happened. But unfortunately, we have to wait. Hopefully this season with Gibson being a little more aggressive, we can see that. And it just unfortunate. It sucks that we saw Corey Snyder, the Vancouver Corey Snyder in net last night. But you can't really be too mad at Corey Snyder. He's been dealing with a lot of issues, being sent to the AHL, being brought up. He had a good game. Congratulations to him. And it's unfortunate the Ducks go 0-2 this season against the New Jersey Devils.
Dude, I would pay money for a goalie fight with Gibson involved. Don't even get me going here. I mean, oh my God, you're right. If Snyder would have came down after that, holy crap, because, I mean, everybody converged in that corner during the game, and there was a bunch of, craziness going on. I don't care what goalie. Just anybody fight Gibson, oh my God, that would be like just the highlight of my life. I don't care if the Ducks were in last place, Eddie.
And I hope that if that happens, I'm at the game with you. You best believe I'm just going to go to your house and spend the night because I'm going to get crunk that night if we see a goalie fight. Like, that's it for me. Like, that would be hockey. That would be my euphoria for the next couple years if I actually was witnessing that live and seeing that. That'd just be amazing. We had to do a podcast that night when we're like drunk as hell, just slurring everywhere but talking about it. I think that'd be fun. Next morning, our producer will probably text you like, dude, what the hell are you guys talking about? But it'd be fun.
Yeah, we have a sound guy, thank God, to help our podcast, because in the past we had some issues with the sound, which some of you voiced your opinions, and I was like, man, I got to fix this. So, yeah, he would probably go, what are you guys talking about? I also, I talked about on the show before that I moved closer to Honda Center, so we literally could walk home. That's how close I live to Honda Center now. And I do, in my new place, have an extra bedroom, so you would be completely situated. No worries. We could record. I have a studio where we kind of do our show, and then an extra bedroom, so that would all work out. But yes, a goalie fight would be crazy. Like you talked about Patrick Waugh against the Red Wings. I think we talked about that on the show before. Those with Osgood and Vernon, oh my God, in the 90s, that was just like crazy for I guess the older fans listening to the show. If you're a younger fan, you might not have been born yet. But in the 90s, you can go back, YouTube it, and see Osgood and Vernon against Patrick Waugh. Oh my God, regardless what team you're for, that was a crazy rivalry back then.
Well, if you're a new school fan too, you could see Patrick Waugh almost against Bruce Boudreau on that Ducks game. So it's like, I bet you younger fans are like, wait, who's this Patrick Waugh? Well, I'm pretty sure young fans know, they're hockey fans, but they probably Googled more about Patrick Waugh and saw his thing. But I was at that game in Denver, that almost fight, and it was just amazing. Like, holy crap. That was just the tempo, it was such a great game. And then seeing them almost go at it, I wish they would have just threw fist. Yeah, I bet both of them would have been suspended half the season and fined a shitload, but that would have been absolutely worth it for fans.
Oh, I agree, 100%. The thing that got overshadowed after that, because of that play with Gibson and everything that happened, was Backes played in this game, Eddie. He was out there for warm-ups. He drew in, finally came back. I made that joke, David is Backes. Ha, ha, ha. I know it's a bad joke, whatever. You can laugh and say it's stupid, but whatever. So Dave is Backes. He played in this game, And I had mixed reviews. I thought he played a decent game, but he'd been out since January 9th when Boston played Winnipeg. He looked like he was a little bit behind on some of the plays and whatnot. Post-game interview, he said the same thing. He was chasing the puck at times. I didn't think he played that bad in this game. I thought he played okay, Eddie. But hockey's a rough sport, and you could tell that some of the conditioning is an issue there. And that's just kind of my takeaway on the game. Like I said, I didn't think he played a bad game. And I give him a little bit benefit of the doubt because of him being out for so long. But what did you think about Backes in this game? I mean, obviously the Ducks lost, but him himself, what did you think about his play?
He played okay. It was okay. It wasn't anything great. It wasn't anything just horrid. He's been out for about 2 months. It takes a while for him to get back into the rhythm of things. Hockey and the NHL is the fastest game in the world. I believe. I don't think there's anything faster besides this. Besides beer pong at times when you're drinking a lot, that goes by fast. But no, but I think he played decent. There's room for improvement, and he acknowledged that. He took responsibility for his play, and I think he knows what he has to do. He's going to take it in stride. He's going to focus his attention on getting to game ready. And what, like I talked about on the last show, he's not gonna come here and wow you and be the savior in Anaheim. He's gonna play the best he can, and I think that he wants to to kind of like play hockey for the remainder of his time as much as he can. And like I said too, I mentioned the word, the Ducks want to milk him and milk the rest of the hockey he has left. But more importantly, he's going to provide that leadership to all the younger kids, and especially if the younger kids have some struggles, he's there. Like, look at me, I'm a veteran player. I was waived to the minors. I did, a mutual thing of me sitting out for 2 months. I'm back here having a chance in Anaheim, and another team is paying me to play against them necessarily. Those 2 games that they do meet against Boston, they're pretty much paying him to play against them. But it should do like a motivation. Don't quit. He has a no quit attitude. He accepts responsibilities for his own actions. He's not making excuses. He's not saying, "Oh, I was out for 2 months, that's why." No, he realized that his play wasn't up to par. He's going to go out there and he's going to, try to be better and be better. And I think that this game is a start. Is a foundation to what he can become. Like I said, he's not gonna. Don't get your hopes up, and don't quote me saying he's gonna be a top 6 player. No, he's gonna contribute when he can and where he can, and all those little elements of the game that he can. Just like Delorier. At first, people were like skeptical about him. He starts laying the body on. He starts throwing big hits, 2 or both, and then fighting. His fighting just elevated him. He signs an extension. Now he's being more offensively creative, and it's great to see from him. And I love that. I think Backes is gonna bring his game up a little bit, and he's gonna contribute into the little voids that we have in Anaheim, and he's gonna fill those voids. A leadership void. He's gonna go on the ice and fill. If he needs to be a hitter that game, if he needs to be a role player and a role model during the game for players, I think he's going to take that role, and he's just going to do whatever he can to have success for the team. So I think I love having him on the team, and I love hearing his interview, how he's not making excuses. And I think that's the best attribute you can have for a professional hockey player is he's willing to accept responsibility and work hard to be better.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the stat line, too, that he had last night against the Devils, he had 2 shots on goal, 4 hits, 1 block. He created a turnover and also gave away the puck as well. He played almost 12 minutes in the game, a little bit while the Ducks were shorthanded. So not a bad game for him at all in his first, action back since January 9th. I mean, we're talking, almost 2 months now since he's been in there. And I agree with you. I think he adds that leadership role. I was happy to see that post-game interview where he said, you know what, I chased the puck a little bit, wasn't quite where I want to be and whatnot. He has good defensive numbers. His offensive numbers, they may not be there. But if he's able to produce offensively the rest of the season or next season, that'd be an added bonus. And to see where he goes. I don't think the Ducks will keep him past next season, but you never know. It depends on how he plays. So I welcome him, on the team, and I a lot of people are like, Backus, whatever, he's going to be bought out, sent to the minors like you talked about. But for the Ducks to get a first-round draft pick out of it, yes, they sent Kasha away. I know some people are upset about that, but I'm sorry, Kasha's got some injury issues, so I'm okay with it for now. But the Ducks did lose this game against New Jersey. They've gone, like we said, 2-1-0 since the trade deadline. And there's plenty to talk about. Plenty of newcomers in the action. A lot of stats. I spent a lot of time looking over the new guys and what has been going on in these last couple games, Eddie. And we'll kind of shift now to our middle segment and talk about what's going on with these players. Again, if you haven't heard the trade deadline show, go back and listen to the last one. We're going to talk a little bit about it here. Murray wanted this team to get faster, more skilled, and better on the power play. We have numbers here. I kind of went nuts. We're not really stat heavy on this show between Eddie and I, but I did do some research to look some things up, and we can talk about what's going on here. So on the power play in the last 3 games, the Ducks have gone 2 for 11, 18.2%, which is up from the 14.7% on the season. But the penalty kill, they only killed off 7 out of 11, which is 63.6%, down from their 77.4% for the season. So the Ducks have done better on the power play like Bob Murray wanted. The penalty kill, though, has suffered a little bit. And the Ducks, he was really big on Milano and Heinen, and they've delivered in these 3 games. You've got Milano with 2 goals and an assist. You've got Heinen with a goal and an assist. And what a lot of people didn't talk about, you and I talked about, Eddie, Juice, right? DJOOS, Juice. You love how to pronounce hockey names, but he's come in and he's played almost 18 minutes a game. He's also played 55 minutes on the power play. And his puck possession numbers are close to 60% in both categories, Corsi and Fenwick. So he's done well as with the Ducks, adding to that power play. And you've got these other speedsters in there. What do you think, Eddie? I mean, the Ducks have done better on the power play, not so much on the penalty kill. They've brought in some guys. They wanted more skill, more speed, and whatnot. What did you think about the team so far? With these new guys, in this. I mean, it's a small picture here, 3 games, but what do you think?
You really can ask for more. I mean, their penalty kill has been great all season. They have a little dip. It's understandable. Hello, you're a man down, and you're missing some of your core defensemen. But I think the new guys came in, and Murray's trusting the system. He's trusting what he's doing, and I criticize Murray a lot, and I'm not a big fan of him, but I can give him credit where due. And everyone he picked up seems to be working out for the Ducks, and it's going to work out long term. Juice, which I'm still questionable calling him that because we have another Juice that we played on the team. So I might just call him DJ at times because, I don't know if I want to call him Juice yet. But I think he's worked out great, and you notice him on the ice a lot. His speed and his hockey sense, he's just there. And Mike, you did a good job with all these stats. I know it probably took a long time. Some of the articles I write too, like looking up the stats and then verifying them, it takes a long time. So good job for doing that. Kudos to you for that. But I think the Ducks are in the right direction. Another player too I noticed significantly was Irwin. He came in, and as much as I love Holzer personally, you can notice the difference between how better Irwin is compared to Holzer. I think that trade worked out perfect. I think all the new guys, I can't say anything bad about anyone that's playing right now. All the trades seem like they're working out perfect, and only time will tell. And hopefully that they swing in the direction of the Ducks, including Grant too. I want to talk about Grant. He seems like he's found a home, scoring. He said a goal and an assist before we were talking offline, right, Mike?
Yeah, he got a goal and assist in that game with Philly recently.
Yeah, you know what? I said this numerous times. I think he's going to hit the 20-goal mark, and I think he deserves it. And now my problem is with Grant, I don't think he's going to come back to the Ducks. I think that he's going to hit those numbers, a career high, everything, and he's going to command, as he deserves, a higher payment. I think if he hits that 20 goal mark, he can easily fetch 3 or 3.5 million from a team, and I don't think the Ducks are going to be willing to pay that for him. And if he doesn't re-sign with the Ducks, that's not bad. He should capitalize and get the most money he can. Hopefully the Ducks, knowing that they're still in this rebuilding phase, will be like, hey, well, he works out the best for us, and we'll throw him a little overpayment and pay him that money, and not expect him to take that much of a significant hometown discount, quote. But I think Derek Grant, wherever he signs, I hope he signs the most the money he can. And if it's not with the Ducks, then I'm still cheering for him. But as far as everyone else, all the numbers that you sent me, Mike, I think it's awesome. Like, all these players are working out, especially DJ. He's been used, and you can notice him on the ice. Like I said, he's a factor, and I think he has a future, and he's going to be part of the Ducks system moving forward too.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers, and I went back, I looked at all the power play stuff, I looked at, when the Ducks scored, when they were scored against, and whatnot. That's how I came up with the numbers and everything like that. I also looked at the how the players did when he's scoring a goal on the power play, as far as how much time the Ducks had this last 3 games, and then how much time they had shorthanded the last 3 games. You mentioned Irwin. He didn't have any points in these 3 games, but Murray trusts him pretty good. I mean, they put him out there 22 minutes per game, and he was out there on the penalty kill almost 60% of the time. So his puck possession numbers aren't good. They're in the low 40s, not great, but they've got him out there. And like you said, he's helped out the team. You're not going to put Holzer out there on the penalty kill so much, but you put Irwin out there, and he's doing that. Agazino, he's actually done really well. He's got no points, +2, but his Corsi and Fenwick numbers are around 60%, which is very good. He's only been playing about 9 minutes. He's been good in the faceoff, just short of 54%. We also talked a little bit about that last game against the Devils. I don't know why necessarily he was on the third line, other than maybe Sam Steele was out sick. Yeah, Coach Akins was out sick. Getzloff was battling the flu. Miller as well was battling it. The Ducks did call up Anthony Stolars to be the backup in that game. So maybe that's why Steele was out in that contest against the Devils. But you look at all these players that they've had overall, and you can't really be that disappointed in what's gone on. They've helped out the Ducks overall. The penalty kill has gone down. However, you need to factor in something here. The Ducks have been without Lindholm, Fowler, and Goodbranson, right? We know from what Murray said that Fowler and Goodbranson are going to be out for probably 2 more weeks. We're now probably a week away now at the time of recording the show. We talked about Lindholm earlier. So I'm not surprised that the penalty kill went down. That's not a shocker to me. But overall, I think, Murray wanted this team to be faster, more skilled, better on the power play. And they have been so far. He's also talked about this next 20 games, kind of being a trial period, see where they're at, what they're going to do. I like what they did. We talked about the trades on the last podcast. If you didn't hear them, you can go back and listen. We didn't love all the trades, and Eddie mentioned the Derek Grant one, and that's the one I'm really scared about. I did not like getting a 4th-round pick. I talked about that. And the Ducks got Chris Cole, and they sent him down to San Diego, which I knew they were going to. He's not going to be a Ducks player. Nothing against that guy, but he's not going to be a permanent Ducks player. They also sent Joel Pearson down as well. That was another trade that the Ducks made with Edmonton when they sent Redmond over there, which I wasn't really mad about the trade, but it was another one I was like, whatever. So, that's the thing I'm afraid of. Grant getting 20 goals, I think that's a very realistic projection that you have made, Eddie. And I think the thing is if he does do that, he's going to command a good contract in the offseason. And unfortunately, I don't think Murray or the Samuelis are going to pay him a lot of money to bring him back. That's my fear now, that he's going to do that. If the Ducks would have got a higher pick, like I said, a 3rd-round pick on the last show, I would have been happy with it. But I don't know. That Grant trade's the big question mark in the trade deadline. I liked everything that we did in there. We gave a bunch of grades. We talked about a lot of them in the B or the C category. We didn't think Murray did awesome, but we didn't think he did terrible either. But if Grant is gone and they don't bring him back and they only got a 4th-round pick and a guy who's going to play in the minors, I'm really not happy with it, Eddie. That's something that's going to upset me if they don't bring him back. Talking about this, the way the Ducks have done. It's only 3 games and all the stuff we've talked about, but I like everything. I just really wish the Ducks would have got a higher pick, especially if he doesn't come back.
Oh, Mike, yeah. Over here you're saying it's only 3 games, and I'm over here bitching about the Chris Wagner trade still. And that still pisses me off. Like, holy crap. Yeah, it's going to be bad, and if Grant does not decide to re-sign with the Ducks, I'm not going to be mad at him. I'm still going to be a fan of Grant's. He's done a lot for this organization, and he deserves to get as much money as he can. And he's playing to a level where I think he earned it and he deserves it. Maybe it's not going to be a fluke of a season, like I mentioned Matt Bolesky talking to fans on social media. One fan, I totally forgot his Facebook handle. We had a good discussion, a nice little 30-40 minute discussion, went back and forth talking about these trades and stuff. But it just, Grant, his playing, I don't know, something about playing in Anaheim elevates his game. I don't know if the quality of life in Anaheim, spending time at the beach. I'll mention Disneyland because everyone loves Disneyland. That's a joke. But it's just, it's kind of crazy how his play just elevated. If he comes back, that's going to be a huge plus for the Ducks. If he doesn't, it's going to be a big blow. But I understand if he doesn't. 50 Cent the rapper? If it makes money, it makes sense. So don't come back to Anaheim if you're going to get paid $1 million less than if you're going to sign somewhere else. $1 million is a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I don't blame it on Grant. If he wants to go out and get a bigger deal, I think he should. So we'll see what happens come summertime. We'll revisit this back then.
It's going to be interesting to come summer and come the free agency and seeing what moves they're going to make. We've seen Murray step out of his comfort zone come the trade deadline too. So who knows what's going to happen if we're going to try to go after bigger name players, not like superstar players, because we're still going to be in the rebuild. But it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see if we can get Grant back, and it's going to be fun. I mean, we're going to have a lot to talk about. I guarantee this coming July 1st, Mike, that you and I are going to have a lot to talk about, and this show is going to be pretty much longer than last year's show on July 1st. So.
Yeah, I mean, this show has been long this season, talking about everything. Every show has been almost, over an hour this year. Usually the shows are 45 minutes to an hour. So, but everyone seems to like it. They're telling me, hey, bring it. We want more. We want more. I've got people telling me that they get a little sad or disappointed when the show's coming to an end when we're talking about everything. So I agree with you. In the summer, we're going to have plenty of discussion to talk about. And, we reached out to you guys as well. We posted a little thing last night saying, hey, what do you guys think about the Ducks after these 3 games? It's a snapshot and whatnot. And some of you had some comments about the Ducks and the rebuild, as you talked about, Eddie. We had Michael Mobley. He said, you know what? I'm expecting us to suck for several more seasons, like I said 2 years ago. We had Jeremy Argento. He said the same thing. I say 2 to 3 seasons. Gibson is amazing. We still need a solid goal scorer. One good 40-50 goal a season player will do the trick he talked about. And I don't disagree with these comments. I'm with you guys. You're talking about it's going to be a couple years for the Ducks. I don't disagree at all. I think it is going to be a couple years for the Ducks, and I think it's going to be painful. And I don't know if everybody can handle that or not. I mean, this team for so many years has been a team that we knew was going to finish in the top of the Pacific Division. We knew they were going to make the playoffs. It was just a question of how far were we going to go. And unfortunately, the last 2 years, we're now on the outside looking in. The Ducks aren't going to make the playoffs. And we're like, oh, okay, let's get good draft pick. Let's tank and all that other stuff. And it's unfortunate. That's where we're at. So for me, I don't see that. Going 2 or 3 years, I get it. I get what you're saying. We had Clancy even added too that the season's a bust. Can't get too upset when we lose. I agree. I mean, all that stuff that people have said, it's 100%. We had also Tony added too that he likes what he's seen from the trades. It's helping the team. Trust the process. The biggest thing I think Tony says in here, Eddie, you and I talked about is, quote, it's going to be tough. It's going to hurt. Let's not forget another expansion is coming. So, there's some things to think about there. I don't think in the coming years the Ducks are going to turn around overnight. I don't think they're going to turn around next season. It's going to be rough, but we got to stick it out. I'm like Eddie. I don't, like Murray 100%, but the stuff he's done so far, he's kind of corrected some trades a little bit. Obviously, the Shore Cagano one we talked about before. He's trying to bring in some more players that are going to help out. And yes, it's a small snapshot, but the team, in my opinion, the last 3 games has been competitive. They beat Edmonton, who added a lot of players making a run. They beat Pittsburgh, who's usually had the Ducks number. And yes, they lost to the Devils, but it was pretty much special teams play that did them in that game. So looking at all these stats and everything that we put together and what's going on with the Ducks in this last week since the trade deadline, I think overall you have to have some optimism. I think that they're doing okay. It's still fun to go to the games and watch and see how they're doing. Yes, they're not going to make the playoffs. Yes, they're not going to be a Stanley Cup team. I get that. But it's still fun to go and watch them play, Eddie.
Oh, definitely. I love this. I love this game. I love the team. I love the game. Hockey is my bread and butter. Hockey is, hockey ranks up there with my family, with my friends. Like my my heart beats because of hockey. I think I'm dyslexic. I said that backwards. Wow. But I love this game, and I love the Ducks. Yeah, it's gonna suck for a few years, but look at all the semi-success we had of being spoiled of every season making the playoffs and being that hopeful contending team. Right now, we're going through growing pains. We're going through a rebuilding process. I know the term retooling got everyone's false motivation and fake motivation up. Like, oh, it's retooling. Next season we're going to be back contenders. No, it's not how it works. If you haven't understood it now, it's a rebuilding phase. The Ducks need, and I agree, I think it was Jeremy that said it, like two years. I think after this season, there's 2 more years before the Ducks become competitive again, and I agree with that. I had a buddy that I play against in hockey reach out to me. His name is Joey. He mentioned to me, hey, if I listen to your podcast, are you going to be honest about everything? He's tired of hearing about all the positive and great moves about the GM and the Ducks in general. He's not like saying anything in general, just social media. And I told him, like, hey, like, we don't bullshit. Like, we tell you how we feel, and we give our unbiased decisions or opinions too. It might not be things you agree with. It might be things you agree with. Like, we're not always 100% for the Ducks. We just talk about it and try to be unbiased as possible. Sometimes, of course, with my personality about the hard-hitting physical game, I might, be unbalanced at times. I try to, kind of be balanced too. Mike's his opinions on hockey might be unbalanced, but, he does a better job than I do of being more balanced. But we just give you the best coverage we can possibly give you, and I'm proud to be part of Ducks and Pucks and to give you the best progress we can. But it's going to take some time, people. It's not going to be easy. It's going to suck. Yeah, we get it. But we can always say we're not like in Ottawa. We're not teams that have more years. This team is going to be competitive again. If you want to stick around and go through the suck with us, that's great. If you want to just leave the Ducks for a couple of years and come back from their winning, you know what? Who am I to judge? Who am I to call you anything? But, as long as you still like the Ducks, that's all that matters. So it's up to you. If you want to stick around, we're going to be here regardless. If the Ducks go 0-82 or 82-0, we're still going to be here. And we encourage everyone to be here. And I just wanted to throw this out to fans. Like, stop bashing each other. If people have an opinion, you have every right to, kind of disagree with their opinion and talk to them about that. But stop physically, or not physically, but personally bashing them. That's not what hockey's about. Like I mentioned before, I spent I think almost a couple hours. I want to say I was talking to this one fan a lot on Ducks Nation on Facebook, and at first it was kind of we both had heated disagreements, but we came to agree to disagree, and we were able to talk out both of our things. And even though that he didn't agree with, or he or she didn't agree with my opinion, I didn't agree with his or her agreement. We still had that mutual respect for each other, and I think that's all that it's about. Just, I guess my point is, I know I'm rambling on, but it's gonna take some time, and if you want to stick around, so be it. If you don't, then don't. When the Ducks are winning, the people that are here, great. The people that want to come back, great. We're still going to be here, and you know what? We're still a hockey family, and we're still a Ducks family, so that's all that really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this season, Murray talked about that too in his comments. He said, listen, I'm going to look at the next 20 games. I'm going to see what's going on with this team, see how it works out with these other players and whatnot. And that's what it's all going to be. We're not going to make the playoffs. We're not going to go for the Stanley Cup. No shit. We know that. But we're going to sit here, and he made some changes. He's trying to help the team. Like I said, Eddie and I aren't the biggest fan favorites of him. We know a lot of people out there aren't supportive of him. But he did stuff. He's trying to do things to make this team get better and get back to that spot. I think the biggest question is, how long is it going to take? Are they going to turn around next season and be a contender? Maybe. I would say less likely than not. I think a good point that was brought up in the comments was about getting a guy that's going to score 40 to 50 or excuse me, not even points, but goals this season. Because if you look at the Ducks, it's terrible as far as how many points. Getzlaf has gotten over 40 points. I mean, that's garbage. That's garbage. And I'm not saying that's garbage for him. Don't mistake me or misquote me on what I'm saying. I'm saying for the team in general, that's garbage. You have Getzlaf with 13 goals, 27 assists. Henrique, 24 goals and 15 assists. He's been a monster this season. Silverberg's got 18 goals. So, I mean, you're looking at that, and then you got Rakell, who's been in a drought for forever. 13 goals, but he hasn't scored in I can't even remember when. Eddie and I were talking about this.
January 31st against Tampa, he had a goal and an assist.
Yeah, I mean, Rakell's disappeared. So the other part that I think is interesting is Murray talked about not moving core players. He felt Kasha was not a core player, moved him out. My question is, what is he going to do with Rakell? Rakell hasn't done anything lately. And I like Rakell. He's a fan favorite too. But what are you going to do? He's been sitting on 13 goals for almost 2 months now. I mean, what is going on here? Or a month and a half or whatnot. So, I mean, that's where I sit with this team, is what are they going to do? And the other point that Eddie brought up that I thought was good, we talk on this show, yes, we're biased towards the Ducks. No shit. But Tony brought up a good thing. He left a review about our website and podcast, and he said that, quote, great cast, and I like that you guys are willing to be honest and don't just praise the team. Your fans, but bias or anything doesn't come through. Absolutely. We're going to sit here and tell you the way it is. We talked about the whole Gibson thing. We talked about the way the Ducks have done with these players and whatnot. I'm not happy with the way things are going overall. I think the Ducks need to do more to get where they need to be. I think they do need to bring in a top scorer to get this team where they're at. I'm happy that they did make moves and they did do things to get things better, but I think they can do a little more. That's where I'm at. And I want to see what they do the rest of the season. I like what I've seen in the last 3 games since the trade deadline. They won 2 out of 3. I didn't think they played that terrible against New Jersey. They had a slow start, but special teams killed them in that game. So I like what I'm seeing. I still go to the games. It's still entertaining. It's still fun. You just have to see what's going to happen the rest of the season. And I'm really curious in the summertime, Eddie, like you talked about. Are the Ducks going to bring back Grant? What's going to happen at the draft? Rakell? I mean, to me, Rakell's a question mark. I know some of you are probably going to say, what? And I'm like, well, he hasn't done anything. Not lately. He hasn't. And I mean, Murray, has talked about not moving core players. I get it. And I like Rakell. I want him to start scoring. But he hasn't lately. So, you look at the Ducks team right now. You've got Henrique, Silverberg, and Getzlaf leading the way. And then Rakell's in there, but he's been gone. He had some great chances in that New Jersey game. I really thought he was going to score in a couple of those. And I think he just needs another goal to get that kind of that fire going. But there's a lot of stuff the Ducks need to decide in the off season. We can't worry about playoffs. We can't worry about any of that stuff. We have to see how this team gels and whatnot. And I like what I'm seeing overall. I think the Ducks have been doing pretty good. And like I said, again, it's just a small sample size. It's just 3 games. But, Eddie, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the summertime. The Ducks did get some draft picks. They got a first-round pick with the Kasha deal and whatnot. They got a 4th round with Grant. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be some trying times. And like Eddie said, we're both going to be here. We're going to keep doing the show each week. The rest of the season, we'll pretty much be doing shows on the Mondays. And we'll see where the Ducks go from there. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, Eddie, before we switch to the league news.
Oh, no. It's just, I think with Rakell's portion of it, I want to call it DK, Donkey Kong. He has that monkey on his back. He needs to figure out how to get rid of it. Once he scores that 14th goal, I think it's going to go, great for him. Slumps suck. I get that. I'm just a Joe Blow, nobody beer league player, but I'm an athlete. I've been an athlete all my life, and I played various sports, and I understand what slumps can do to you. I think it's more psychological than anything. It sucks. Like, I think my biggest slump in hockey, I went 8 or 9 games without scoring a goal in my whole entire life, and I've been playing since I was a kid. I've never not scored that many games. But old age catches up to me. I have army injuries that are catching up to me as we speak right now. I have a lot of problems, but I just try the best I can. And you know what? The Ducks, they just got to get over, the next few weeks. They got to play their best hockey. And I'm not saying, tank for whoever the hell you want to tank for, because I really, as much as I want a big draft pick, I just really can't, being competitive and being like a winner all my life, I can't really just say it. I want them to lose just to get a better draft pick. I want them to play their best hockey. If they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. That's all that matters. So, I think you hit it on the nail in the coffin, Mike. You said it perfectly. I want to also give a shout out to OC Animal Care. On Sunday when they played New Jersey Devils yesterday, they had OC Animal Care night. They had the dogs there. They had people donating either blankets, food, money. I want to thank all those people, and I also want to thank OC Animal Care for allowing us to partner up with them to let me and let us give back. I mean, I trust me, if I won the lottery, I'd give probably a portion, if not half, my money to animals, because that holds dear and near to my heart. But I'm glad that we're able to promote that on Ducks and Pucks, and to try to, to elevate their, sharing and getting more awareness to them. They're trying to find homes for dogs, for cats, tortoises, rabbits, like whatever. They do a great job, and I want to thank everyone part of the OC Animal Care organization, everyone that helps out, everyone that works there. You guys are doing a great job, and I'm honored, and I'm glad that you allowed us to partner up with you, and we can be part of helping. I don't care if it helps 1,000 animals. I don't care if it helps just one. All I want is just one animal to be saved and to be found a loving home. Animals I think are brought into our lives just to love and to do that, and especially dogs. I train dogs in the Army, so that holds near and dear to my heart. So it was their night officially on Sunday, and I saw pictures that they posted. A lot of the fans are over there chatting with the dogs, petting them, donating. It just, man, like, sometimes I get really frustrated and I hate humanity, but seeing pictures like that makes me love it. And I think I might love animals a little bit more than hockey at times. But thank you to OC Animal Care, and thank you to all the fans and supporters. And I don't care if you donate $1 or $1 million, but thank you for that.
Yeah, the OC Animal Care had their night on Sunday. We've posted different things on the game previews and game recaps about them and whatnot, and also on the podcast. So, if you're looking for animals, they're a great resource. We talk about adopt, don't shop. And I that's what happened when we did the trade deadline. I showed my cat on there. I call her the Duck Cat, also named Sunny, so we always laugh because Sunny Milano is now on the team. But
the Sunny Cat.
That's right, the Sunny Cat or the Duck Cat. But same thing, I got her from the shelter. So, whether you like dogs or cats or whatever animal you like, just check out OC Animal Care. I mean, they do a tremendous job. So we're happy that we're able to help promote them on our show and our website. So with that, we'll wrap up the show with our final segment, the league news. There's plenty of stuff to talk about, Eddie. I'll let you break it down, and then I'll chime in here or there, but there's a few different things you want to talk about as we wrap up the show.
Cool. First thing I want to talk about is the Mighty Ducks Disney Plus show. Well, there's been rumors leaking, what's going on. So the rumors that are really popular right now are it's being filmed in Vancouver. Okay, and the Mighty Ducks this time are going to be the antagonist, and a new group of protagonists are going to kind of like challenge them. The Mighty Ducks are going to be, I guess, the Hawks. If you watch the first movie, they're going to be that arrogant, always winning team. I don't know who Gordon Bombay is going to play. Either he's going to play the Ducks coach, like Coach O'Reilly, or whatever his name was in the first movie, or he's going to just, guide this misguided youth of new Ducks player, new whatever players are going to be called, to go against the big bag antagonist. So we don't know. Pictures have surfaced. I'm pretty sure you saw them already. They've been posted everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So that's going to be interesting to watch. I hope Disney doesn't screw it up and they do it right. I'm still against them remaking or adding to it. I'm more of like, hey, a classic is good. Let it be. Don't just add to it and screw it up, because I've seen so many movies screw up classics. And if you guys don't know, I'm a big movie guy. If you guys ever want to ask us on Ducks and Pucks movie questions too, I'm definitely happy to talk about it on the show, because I watch a ton of movies. So if you want to add to that, Mike, or move forward, league news?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. I was happy with the original Mighty Duck movies. It's one of those I don't think they need to add to. I've seen a lot of movies. I'm like you. I like to go and watch, but when some of them, they do 1 or 2 or 3, and then they start getting on 4 or 5 and 6, I'm like, oh my God, like, guys, really? You need to stop. So I'm with you on that one, Eddie. I don't know. I'm not. It is what it is. I mean, they're redoing it or whatever, but I just think you can't replace the originals.
Definitely. Let's move on. I'm going to jump down to St. Louis Blues. Jay Bouwmeester has been ruled out for the remainder of the season. If you guys don't remember, he had the episode in Anaheim where he collapsed on the bench. He had to go to Irvine Medical Center, and he got that defibrillator put in his heart. He's still yet decided on his retirement option, so regardless, Mike and I both give our prayers for him and his family and whatever he decides to do. I mean, hopefully it benefits his family and him most importantly. But, like I said, he has nothing yet to prove. He's a warrior. He's been in the league a long time. He won a cup. He's, like I said, prayers for him. The Calgary Flames, Johnny Gaudreau, his grandfather passed away, which really sucked. After that, his grandfather passed away. He scored a goal, and he was just full emotion, went down, and just kind of like, you could see the emotion in his eye, and the Flames ended up winning this game 3-0, but it was just good to see that him scoring that goal pretty much for his grandfather, and I know how important that is. I lost my grandmother. I scored a goal for her, and I couldn't hold back tears. One of my buddies passed away. He was a police officer for Covina PD. We had a tournament. I scored that goal for him. And then Mike, when your mother passed away, my first game back, I scored a goal for her. And even though I didn't know your mother, I'm close to you, and I still felt that emotion and that personal attachment. And I scored a goal for her, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow at the watch party, because I have that goal to give, or that puck to give you, of the goal I scored. So I mean, that's important. Like, whatever level of hockey you play, whatever sport you play, whatever thing you do, once you have a loved one passed away, You need that personal satisfaction to do something in their name, and I'm glad that Johnny Gaudreau got to score that goal and honor his grandfather that passed away.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing that. As we, God, I don't want to cry again, but
Oh, it's fine.
it's been a rough 2020 for me, to say the least. If you listen to the last couple of shows and whatnot, but as you mentioned, yeah, we're gonna have a watch party too. I'm really excited on Tuesday at the Steelcraft in Garden Grove. It's going to be the Solani penalty box at 12900 South Euclid Street. So if you can make it, I hope you guys can come out. It should be a really good time. They have really good food. We've been kind of working on this all season. It's been difficult between my schedule and their schedule and whatnot, and everybody's schedule, trying to figure out when to do one. So we're going to have it on Tuesday, March 3rd. Hopefully you're listening to this before then so you can go and whatnot. If not, still go and check it out. It's a great spot. They've got a lot of other restaurants in there too, not just the Solani penalty box, but places to check out and whatnot. So, and I'm with you. You know, the whole thing, Eddie, you talked about with Gaudreau, whether you like him or not, whatever. He scored a goal full of emotion. I totally get it. The last couple of months, and the only thing I'll just add to it is we've talked about going through situations in your personal life where you've had a struggle or a loss or whatnot, and Eddie and I have both dealt with that before. So if you ever need to reach out, we're more than happy to do that. And I've had a couple people do that in the last couple months. So that's the only thing I'm going to add, and good for him. I'm glad that happened.
Definitely. Let's move forward to the Vegas Golden Knights. We talked about it on last show, but they officially been approved by the AHL Board of Governors for a transfer ownership of the San Antonio Rampage. They will have an AHL team at the Orleans come next season, and they will be building a new rink for the AHL, and they will have that maybe in a couple or maybe 3 seasons for that. Colorado Springs is also rumored to be getting an AHL team. The Colorado College is actually building a new stadium on the campus for their team, so they won't be part of the World Arena anymore. So it appears that a rumor has floated, the Calgary Flames affiliate, their minor league team will move to Colorado Springs and kind of fill in the World Arena. And the World Arena, if you haven't been there, it's an amazing place. It's great. It's like a beautiful miniature arena. I love it. I skated there every Saturday when I was stationed over there with a lot of the college players, junior players, Jamie McGinn, Cody McLeod. It was fun. Yes, I was like probably the worst player on the ice, but it was still fun because everyone knew that I wasn't a great player, and they would just help me be better. They wouldn't hit me. Like when I had my head down, I'd get punched in the head real quick, like a little punch, like, hey, keep your head up. So I have nothing but good memories from there, and I still love Colorado, so if they get a team, hopefully I can get a job and move over there. So that'd be pretty cool. Another big thing that was going around is YouTube TV. I know a lot of people are cutting the cords from traditional cable or satellite, whatever, direct, dish, whatever you have. But YouTube TV is in a dispute regarding the coverage of Fox Sports. And that actually was supposed to be cut off on February 29th. However, they reached a temporary agreement to extend the coverage on YouTube TV pending their new deal. Some of you people that don't have YouTube TV or have Fox Sports, like, how are you talking about? But there's a lot of people that have been cutting the cord, and as of last year, Sling TV got rid of Fox Sports, and Dish Network got rid of Fox Sports. That means you can't watch. If you're a basketball fan, you can't watch the Lakers or Clippers. You're a hockey fan, which is more important on this podcast, you can't watch the Ducks. I don't know what's going on, and I'm getting tired of being a customer and being used as a pawn in these agreements. I do credit YouTube TV and Fox for having a tentative agreement moving forward past 29 to allow fans to watch their favorite sports teams. But I think they need to get with the program and make an agreement up. You guys are both billion-dollar companies, probably. You guys make a ton of money. You guys can sacrifice a few $1 million to actually cater to the fans. But I get it. It's business. You want to make the maximum profit you can. So Yeah, so we'll keep you updated. As of now, you have YouTube TV to stream your Ducks games. If any progress goes forward, we will post it on Ducks and Pucks. If they cancel it, we will post it on Ducks and Pucks, and we will have an article, not like we'll have an article giving you alternative options to watch it, but we're not promoting that way, if that makes sense. So, Mike, do you want to chime in on anything before I get into our last topic?
Yeah, no, just the YouTube thing like you talked about. I think it's unfortunate. You know, a lot of people rely on that. Like I have DirecTV, which DirecTV then got bought by AT&T. So you have all this stuff going on, and it's frustrating. You know, it's not just with the Ducks, it's with sports in general. You see certain networks or providers that are saying, well, we'll provide it, but it's this cost, or we're not going to do it anymore. You got to go here and there. And it's just frustrating. Like you said, I get it. It's about making money and whatnot. But, I mean, do we have to go to extremes to watch a game that we like? Whether it's hockey, basketball, baseball, football, soccer, whatever it is. I just, that part kind of gets me irritated. I just think these companies make so much money. And when they have these disagreements and whatnot, I don't know. It's just frustrating for everybody involved. That's what I think, and part of it that gets lost is customer service. Who are you trying to appease here with these deals? I mean, you're talking about viewership and getting people to watch your product and your commercials and other things like that. So it's big business, obviously, but it's a frustrating situation all the way around, and I think there's a lot more alternatives out there. Thank God that there are, because some of these companies make so much money, it's ridiculous. So I hope they get it resolved, you know, to fix the situation, but we'll have to just kind of wait and see what happens. But on a more positive note, I think, Eddie, you've got some good stories you want to talk about in Ottawa and Carolina to finish up the show.
Oh, definitely. Before I get to Carolina, I want to just to go back one more time and talk about David Backes. He has, I guess, on his personal Twitter and his social media, it's called Athletes for Animals, and I wanted to shout that out. I don't know if he's promoted a lot in Anaheim yet, but I want to shout out any person that wants to like advocate for animal rights and stuff. I'm not one of those PETA people like, hey, don't eat freaking meat. Trust me, I love my good steak. I love a good ham. But I do like the fact that people can rescue animals. His wife and him are posted on the Athlete for Animals website. They've been there since 2013. I'm trying to figure out more information. I emailed them to get more information so we can talk about it on the show. But just giving him a shout out just to being that person that's going to rescue animals, and his wife. And I know a lot of the family members of our athletes and a few players listen to our podcast. So I'm open invitation for him or his wife if they want to, to advocate for their cause and their foundation. Feel free to reach out to Mike or I, or DM us on DucksNPucks. We're more than willing to share that and kind of promote whatever you want for Athletes for Animals. So please reach out to us. We're more than happy to do that. Let's move to Carolina. You guys, that E-Bug, they're calling him now, emergency backup goalie David Ares, I don't even know anymore. I'm just so flooded with this, but he donated his game stick to be displayed in the Hockey Hall of Fame. That's just awesome, and his wife is awesome too. Follow her on Twitter. She's so animated. They were going to discuss this at the GM's meeting, which they did, about how they should go about moving forward to try to changing this. According to Pierre Lebrun, after discussing it, they think that they don't want any changes. They think the process works, and I'm glad. I'm glad this happens. We had Miller with the flu. Gibson was in net. If Gibson got hurt, Miller had the flu, or Miller got hurt, then Anaheim could have had their backup goalie going, and who knows, create a big story like this. So I'm glad that the GMs and their meeting, they don't want to change this and bring a quote professional, because I think this is the best part of the game. and I'm glad this is I'm glad it's not going to change, and they're trusting that process of it, something that NHL got right. So moving forward now to the last part of our league news is Bobby Ryan. Bobby Ryan was the second overall draft pick for the Ducks. They I guess they missed out on the Sidney Crosby sweepstakes, but I'm glad they did. Bobby Ryan, he's a hell of a player. Damn, sorry guys, I'm getting a little emotional right here.
It's all right. It's all right. I get you, man. I get you, Eddie. I mean, this is a thing that we talked about before about Bobby Ryan and the things that happened with him. And, he had an issue with alcohol, which Eddie and I talked about and we thought was going to be what happened. And it came out to light that it was. He was a big fan favorite, as Eddie talked about, a high draft pick, obviously, for the Ducks. Was, a big part of Anaheim for several years. And he came back, like, I get why Eddie's emotional. I got emotional too. I mean, he was out. He was honest about what happened. Comes back, gets a hat trick for Ottawa in his first game back. And he got emotional too during the game, Eddie. So I don't blame you. I don't blame Bobby. I don't blame anybody listening if you got emotional about this. But whether or not you're a Ducks fan or a Bobby Ryan fan or a hockey fan, this is a great way to end the show. I mean, it's a huge thing. And for anybody out there that's struggling or dealing with this, look at Bobby Ryan and what he's done, Eddie. I mean, he came back and got that hat trick. And I don't blame you or anybody out there for getting emotional about this.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting emotional for other reasons. I just honestly, like, hearing his story and knowing him a little bit personally, little backstory, the guys I played with growing up, there's a lot of guys that played semi-pro and pro hockey, and they knew him personally. Another backstory, before I get into my story, I had some friends that played, some high competitive hockey, and they played with Patrick Maroon. And my buddy, I remember a few years ago, posted a clip of Patrick Maroon, like when he first got traded for the Ducks, like hitting the Ducks, and I made a comment like, "Oh, F Maroon, blah blah blah," and then Maroon's brother comes in and starts talking crap to me. Like, it was just funny on Facebook, and then he ends up DMing me, and just and we're just talking, just like, hey, like, squashing it. We're just being hockey fans, and it's just. The circles I grew around with, I was a shitty hockey player, and I'm still am right now. I play for fun. I never was good. I played with way better players than I should have. But those same players that I played with, they knew Bobby Ryan personally. They played with him in Narch, and they knew his situation. And meeting Bobby Ryan for the first time, I mentioned the friends that we knew, and he was just great about it. He knew, all the friends I knew. We talked about hockey when I first met him. My first year in Colorado, I went to a Ducks and Avs game, and he was out there with his family. I went down there, and he still remembered me from months ago. And he's like, "Hey, yeah, you're Richard the Army guy," which my first name is Richard. He called me down there and just talked to me like I was just a person. What I got emotional about is the story that, if you guys haven't read, how he had to deal with the abusive father. I had to deal with that growing up. Like, I had a father that was alcoholic, and he was abusive to my mother, and I went through hell and back, like living in a car in a motel with my mom. It's not something I like to sit there and kind of throw out there and, hey, feel sorry for me kind of story, but like his story kind of like reached me a little bit, and it kind of hurts a little bit. I'm glad that I was able to rectify the relationship with my father, and he apologized and he changed for the better. But like, I can still sympathize what Bobby Ryan has gone through, and not the extreme that he's gone through, but I can still relate to it. And I mean, seeing him score the hat trick and him go out there and admit that he had a problem and he's changing it, it's not easy. Like, I had an alcohol problem in Colorado where I was downing bottles just to black out, wake up to down bottles again, and do the same thing. It's not easy to overcome. I'm glad that I can drink in moderate now, and I don't have to do that and be that person in Colorado again. But I think it's important for me to share that on the show because I want to be as honest as much as I can in this show. And it's just his story still affects me, and he's an inspiration. And thank you, Mike, for letting me ramble on about this and cutting me off when I was tearing up and crying about that. But it's not something that I'm proud of, but I am proud of because I can overcome it, and I know where he's coming from, and I know a lot of people are going through that too, and I'm glad that I can drink in moderate now. I can be normal, and I can have that forgiveness, and I'm glad that seeing a player that I have a personal connection with, where I can contact if I want from friends and talk to him. He's willing to be strong enough to admit that the platform he has, especially playing in Canada, and he can come back and have those 3 goals and show people like me and people like us, whoever's going to, that, hey, you know what, you can do it, and you can be that inspiration, and you can, just no matter how far you're down, there's always a way to climb up.
I think you hit the nail on the head there at the end, Eddie. As far as I know, we've talked about stuff before offline and different things like that. And you're right, as far as coming back from stuff that he had to deal with, obviously with his parent situation, the alcohol situation. And I deal with people that have these kind of issues all the time. That's what I do in my real job, I guess you could say, because obviously I do this on the side, and this doesn't pay the bills. Trust me, it doesn't. But I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy the interaction with all the fans and whatnot that we have through the show and through the website as well. So absolutely. The fact that he overcame that, the fact that you overcame that, I mean, it's huge. And it gives hope. There's a lot of stuff out there. A lot of people are going through things. I see it all the time on social media. There's people I know right now that are going through things that have to relate around the issue of alcohol as well. So we joke about in the beginning, that, oh, we have a drink and we do the podcast. Yeah, we do. I mean, we don't get crazy. We're not passed out drunk, but we do joke about it here and there, maybe a little bit. But we understand that certain people out there have an issue with it. There's certain things that happen, whether it's being in the service or something with a loved one, whether it's a parent or a sibling or a relationship. So it completely makes sense. So it's a good story, though, for Bobby Bryant. And if you love the sport of hockey, it's great that he came back. I'm glad he's back on the ice. I'm glad he got that hat trick. That was amazing. I still wish he was a Duck, which that's not going to happen, but it's a good feel-around story. And there's a few of those throughout the league. Eddie also talked about the Carolina Hurricanes as well. So there's some good stuff going on. But with that, we hope we'll see you at the watch party. Like I said, Eddie and I are going to keep doing shows every week till the season ends, and then we'll kind of space it out at the end of the season. But we love you guys. We thank you for the support, and let's go Ducks.